Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for the Premier League preview show, looking at our dearly departed teams. Who are the dearly departed? Of course, they are the 5 clubs that I covered in the Championship that are now in the Premier League. We're talking Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham. And we've got a double derby dearly departed type situation this week because we got 2 games where dearly departed teams play one another. So only 3 games in total there for us to talk about, which we will do so in just a second. First of all, we can say thank you to Jay Coyle, who is our fan sponsor for the dearly departed shows this season. Dearly departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us. Thank you as ever to Jay. You too can get involved over on Patreon if you want to support my work in the football YouTube sphere. Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. So there it is, round 30, and only 3 blue bells for us because of the 2 dearly departed derby matchups. And we're in early. Remember, this is the Easter weekend, so this is Saturday. Remember, there's a full round of EFL games on the Friday, the 2nd. So this is Saturday the 3rd, and we're in straight away with Chelsea versus West Brom. That's Big Sam, and West Brom is our first game. And then a dearly departed derby between Leeds and Sheffield United. The rest of Saturday is Leicester, Man City and Arsenal, Liverpool. Across to Sunday, Southampton, Burnley, Newcastle, Spurs. And then our last game, another dearly departed derby between Aston Villa and Fulham in the 4:30 kickoff. The plan is for us to cover that game as a watch-along. The rest of the weekend, well, Sunday night there, Manchester United, Brighton. And then on Monday, so the Premier League only playing once over the Easter weekend, Everton, Palace, Wolves, West Ham. And then, of course, we have another load of EFL games on the Monday, the 5th, Easter Monday. Right, as ever, we will look at these games from the highest ranked to the lowest. So let's get into it with Aston Villa versus Fulham. Big game, and dearly departed derby, Sunday, 4:30. Join us for the watch-along. First things first, let's look at the table for the overarching narrative. Villa trying to stay in that top half. They've got a 2-point advantage over another dearly departed team in Leeds in 11th. They've got 10 games to play. Can they stay in there? Can they get, 1.5 points per game for the rest of the season and go mid-50s? That would represent very good progress for Villa. But the more pressing matters, I think even Villa fans would agree, are at Fulham there, where they have 8 to go. They're one of only 2 sides who have played 30 games. Fulham and Man City have. And they're still in touching distance of Newcastle. If we just go back one slide, you will see Newcastle are playing at home to Spurs, who are up there in 6th place with 4 wins in 5. So, key game for Fulham. Villa can probably not get on the beach yet, but they can certainly relax up and play with a bit more freedom. Obviously, they won the return game. That was one of our first watch-alongs of the season, I think back in September, wasn't it? And it was a very convincing performance at a time where Villa were peaking and keeping loads of clean sheets and winning, I think, like 4 of their first 5 or 5 of their first. Won a lot of games at the start of the season, Villa, didn't they? And Fulham were totally all at sea in the Premier League. A lot has changed since then. Villa have managed to keep up there in that top half and have various other little point-scoring spurts through the season. Fulham have trended upwards from really a kind of down-and-out type position. Let's have a look at the recent results, and you will see not much in the way of wins for either. If we're running back 6 games there at the bottom in the centre, we've got 2 wins for Fulham in there and 1 for Villa. So dealing with Villa first, and obviously the elephant in the room here is most, or I think all of these games have been played without Jack Grealish, which has been an issue. We don't know. Will he be back? This was the question post-international break. Villa fans will certainly hope he is, because look at those last four as well. Defeat to Sheffield United, 0-0 against Wolves, 1-1 against Villa, and they conceded a very late equaliser, didn't they, against Newcastle? So I said that the wrong way around. And a home defeat against Spurs last time out. So it's a poor run, and you wonder whether Dean Smith will try to return to what was working earlier in the season. 4-2-3-1, Grealish, Barkley. If you look in the bottom left, you will see Morgan Sanson is in there now. Look, Traore, Trezeguet. So no Barkley or Grealish in there in the last game. They've got Matt Cash back, which is good news. He'd missed a few games, hadn't he? So the back end of the team all looking good. And it just depends. Do you go back to what was working if you're Dean Smith and just say, right, that was the team this season? Or do you try and develop and tweak a little bit? And that possibly means without Barkley, doesn't it? Because Grealish will almost certainly come in if he is fit enough to. In terms of Fulham, I mean, we all got very, very excited with the Fulham win at Liverpool. Okay, Liverpool struggling, but what that did represent was a real surge from Fulham. You can see they're 7 points in 4 games, including clean sheets in 3 of those games, indeed. And they closed that gap right up on Newcastle, didn't they? It's back at 2 points now. Newcastle with the game in hand. So, okay, they lost handily to Man City, but hey, Man City are 14 points clear at the top of the league, and they're going to be crowned champions within the next 3-4 games, aren't they? However, they then lost at home to Leeds. Decent enough performance by Leeds, but Fulham are at the point now where any team in that bottom half, they've got to be trying and taking points off them. Easier said than done in the Premier League, yes, I know, but they'll be disappointed. Leeds a double on Fulham and 6 points this season in those dearly departed derbies. Looking at the team, you don't expect it'll be too much different, although an interesting subplot here with Mitrovic, who obviously we raved about last season and was a goal machine in the Championship, doing well on international duty. So, I don't know. Is he closer to getting in there? I know he'd let sort of Parker down with perhaps some breaking of some COVID protocols 6 weeks or so ago. Maybe he might be in his good books. Otherwise, I don't suspect much will change. So, let's go into predictions mode here. Now, for the dearly departed, sorry Villa fans, the best result here is a Fulham win, because we want to try and keep the teams in the division. But of course, may the best team win. And the question is, will Grealish be back? And if so, have Fulham got enough to get something in this game? If Fulham don't, it really, really is looking like we're going to have a triple threat, dearly departed relegation group of all of the bottom 3 being dearly departed teams, which is going to be a little bit sad, isn't it? But hey, we've got another 3 coming up, haven't we? So ready ahead of next season. Oh, how do I see this going? We'll call it a draw. Let's say both sides have been pretty good defensively, Villa across the season and Fulham in their recent run. And look, it will get them 1 point closer. Fulham, Villa have got that sort of 2 point gap over Leeds. Although wait until we do our next game, that may change. Still got the game in hand though, haven't they? So let's call this one a low scoring draw and give some points to both dearly departed teams. Get your predictions in the comments. Aston Villa versus Fulham. On to the next, and it is Leeds v Sheffield United. And how things have changed. I'm sure along with many of you watching this, I was at the incredible game, the Basham arriving game, where Sheffield United really delivered a decisive performance in that run-in. I don't know psychologically what it did. I know things swung and then they swung back again. But it felt like a key win over a direct rival in this game 2 years ago. Now, of course, in the time elapsed, Sheffield United have been up in 9th place finish, whilst Leeds win the title in the Championship last season. So both sides had, or both clubs rather, had great seasons last time. Not so this season, and very sadly, or I don't know, I'm sure all the Blades fans watching will have heard Prince Abdullah's long interview. I was going to say burial there, but look, I don't want to get into he said, she said, but let's just say it's sad that Chris Wilder is no longer there after a tremendous journey from League One up to 9th place in the Premier League. It's going to be tarnished now with the relegation, isn't it? And for narrative lovers, Paul Heckingbottom, who was Leeds manager, and I did see Leeds play in the short time Paul Heckingbottom was manager. I saw them play at Aston Villa. I think they lost 1-0 at the back end of the 17-18 season before Bielsa was hired. He's sort of in temporary charge of Sheffield United going into this game. And look, given all the chaos, it's very, very hard to give Sheffield United too much hope in this game. Take the last 6, and it's 5 defeats from the 6. A win there against Villa. But this is, of course, pre-Wilder going, and then a horrible 5-0 at Leicester. Okay, some time has elapsed, but it does feel somewhat like, for Sheffield United, a kind of empty shell of what it once was. And now you've taken the guy from the top of the pyramid there at Sheffield United, and he's not there anymore. And have the players got it in them to just bounce a little bit for the last games of this season? How many have Sheffield United got to go? 9 to go. I think it's going to be tricky, isn't it? There's your team last time for Sheffield United. Who knows what they'll do, because that team got right royally turned over. We did see John Egan on the Blades Twitter. Looked like he was up in his rehab, but you can see there in that game, no Egan. Obviously, O'Connell has been a big miss. Berger, etc. So key players down the spine of that team, and maybe the most key individual at Sheffield United, Chris Wilder, is not around anymore. For Leeds, really good win against Fulham last time out, and actually really nice 4 points in the last 2 games for Leeds. That's a draw against Tuchel's Chelsea, who are very good at the moment, aren't they? And a win at Fulham and a double over Fulham. And I think Leeds have done well actually this season. They have dominated, really, done very well against teams down at the bottom of the table, and this is at home against the team bottom of the table. In terms of Leeds players, Bamford was puffing at the end of, he said himself in the interview at the end of the Fulham game that, I was just trying to stay out as long as I could before I was completely knackered. So hopefully he's had a well-earned break, and he scored again in that one, Pat Bamford. Meslier, Lorente, Struick, Alioski, Ayling. So perhaps Cooper, more likely than Koch. I think Phillips will be tired, won't he? He's played all 3 games for England. Did well, actually, across the 3. In a slightly different position, actually. He was going forward much more than he does for Leeds. And then we will see in terms of Rodrigo, Click. I think, was there a COVID issue with Click? So I don't know whether he's got to isolate as well. But potentially there could be, unless Phillips is very, very tired and can't play, there could be a bit of an uptrend as the season winds down of Leeds getting stronger in terms of the team that they can put out as a first 11. Look, I don't want to pile more misery on for Sheffield United fans. I just cannot see them getting anything from this game. I think Honestly, they'd quite like to shut the doors and do their business for the summer now. I mean, it would be the most miraculous escape with 14 points adrift and 9 games to go. And I think it's going to be another defeat here. So I'm going to go for a home win for Leeds. And you let me know what you think in the comments. Leeds versus Sheffield United. Our final game is Chelsea versus West Brom. So Big Sam has now had plenty of time on the training pitch with his West Brom players. I think that had been a complaint from a lot of managers who come in during the season in this strange COVID 2021 season, that he'd come in and he was just basically doing recovery and some small tactical stuff before every game. So there was a sense that West Brom were starting to present his instructions on the pitch, but the results over those last 3, Big Sam said they played well against Everton, but they lost. 0-0 against Newcastle. We did that as a watch along. It was a dreadful game, wasn't it? And then a 1-0 at Palace. So basically in those last 3 games against Palace, Newcastle and Everton less so because they're higher up, but haven't even got a single goal in those games. So very, very worrying for West Brom and for Big Sam's reputation of never going down. They are 10 points adrift of Newcastle with 9 games to go. 2 points per game would be desirable, as in win-draw for the rest of the season. Still only taking them to 36 with, at the moment, Newcastle. Well, no, I think they are projecting that. They're just off a point per game. Does seem like Brighton are only a couple of positive results away from survival after winning their last 2. For West Brom, well, I don't know whether, with Big Sam having had time on the training ground, whether he'll work Semi Ajayi back into that team. I can't see Allardyce not wanting to use a guy that powerful from set plays in his first 11. I'm not sure on Kieran Gibbs whether he'll be back. Yokushli will be in there. I suspect he'll try and line up with most of that front 5. Just wondering about Grady Diangana as well. That seems a player that you think Allardyce would like to spend some time with on the training ground and work with and try and get in there, because there's a definite big upside to Diangana, as we saw last season with West Brom. But this is a difficult game. We haven't mentioned the opponent. The opponent is Chelsea, who, have they still not lost under Tuchel? I don't think they've lost under him, have they? There's the last 6. That they beat Newcastle, draws against Southampton, Manchester United. They beat Liverpool away. They beat Everton at home. They drew at Leeds. They're very good defensively now. You can see only the 1 goal conceded in all of those 6 games. Southampton getting that solitary goal. So 5 clean sheets in there. And this is against a team, West Brom, that's not scoring as well. I guess there's some sort of argument that the amount of international players Chelsea have, that, you know, particularly when you look at Chilwell and Mount, who've done Mount's played all 3 and Chilwell played the last game for England. I think Shaw played the other 2 at left back, and, you know, just the entire squad basically is going to be coming back. But the big, powerful, wealthy Champions League clubs normally have the squad to absorb that. So, with all of that being said, in prediction, you see Chelsea there, entrenched in that top 4, 2 points clear of West Ham. I think Chelsea are going to win this one, and West Brom are getting ever closer to confirmed relegation. And then the question becomes, will Allardyce stay for next season? Be very interesting. I'm going for a Chelsea win in this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's our show. Thank you again to J. Coyle, our fan sponsor. Please do think about going and getting involved over on Patreon. We're going to try and streamline the Patreon next season. So it's a little overcomplicated at the moment. We'll try and streamline it in. So you get to support me, which is what a lot of people just, they're not bothered about any extra content, but I want to try and deliver some extra stuff, and we'll try and simplify it. And I don't know, there'll be 3 guaranteed shows a week or something over on Patreon as well. But have a think if you have enjoyed what I've done here. Remember, if your team is in possible relegation difficulty, don't worry, because the Championship stuff is still alive and well on the channel. And if you're perhaps a Leeds and Villa fan, you can start thinking about who the dearly departed are going to be next season. Norwich are sort of a few games away. That's pretty much nailed on. Watford closing in. If they have a good Easter weekend, they become hot favourites. So could be, well, let's just say Villa, Leeds, Norwich, possibly Watford, and one other. Could be a yellow tinge to that with Leeds, Norwich and Watford as well in the dearly departed. Get your comments in as ever. Now, the plan over the weekend is I will be doing Championship stuff on Friday in the main. I'll be doing the Championship review on Saturday. Do you know, I would really love to catch Sheffield United Leeds, but I've got to prioritise Huddersfield Brentford for the Championship stuff. So we won't, else I'll be on for about 6 hours, which will be not the one, will it? Then we will try and do Aston Villa Fulham. Hopefully I'm not flagging too much, and then we'll do the review on Monday morning ahead of another Championship Super Stream. Stick with me. It's going to be a very, very busy weekend. Most important thing you can do, get your comments in on all of those games. Let me know your view on what you think is going to happen and anything I've said that you want to discuss. Go ahead in there. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, ring the bell as we close in on 15,000 subscribers. Nearly there. It's been a long, old trawl, but we are nearly there. With all of that being said, thank you very, very much for watching. And it's over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.